Alright guys, I see a lot of people trying to understand which one is the best rogue spec after all the buffs that we got on the last update. So on this video we're gonna see the 3 rogue specs and analyze which one is doing the most damage and which one is the best after all the buffs that we got. So we can start with the Subtlety over here, and I'm not gonna lie, Subtlety feels better, but it's not enough. Unfortunately it's not enough. Gormal Bite still not doing the most damage, as the damage is still split, doesn't empower the damage that much. And to get the Lingering Shadows on the talent tree, we need to use Gormal Bite. So I don't know what's the point here if we cannot do a lot of damage with that. They still need to figure out a way or to increase the damage or to not be split among all the enemies. I don't know. They need to figure out a way just to make Gormal's Bite doing a little bit more damage, or we still need another flat buff on Subtlety. Alright guys, so we can check here the logs for Subtlety, and the first thing that we can check over here, it's this phrase over here, which is treating testing data as live data. It's both incorrect and inaccurate. So take this with a grain of salt, but we're gonna check the logs over here for Subtlety. And we're gonna check for the 3 specs, but we're gonna check for Subtlety here first. And we actually have some logs over here already opened that we're gonna check. But if we compare the logs for Subtlety to the other specs, the Subtlety logs look a lot worse than the other specs. Unfortunately, we only have 2 or 3 logs that are over 300k damage. One of them is the Ruby Life Pools, which is one very niche dungeon, and the other one is of course the Outlaw Fangs, which is another niche dungeon with very good pulls and very big pulls as well on the dungeon, so we can do a lot of damage on these both dungeons. But if we check over here, for example, King's Rest or Murder Row, the damage drops off a lot. But if we check over here, we can check some talents that some of the best logs that we have over here are using. And this over here, we can start by checking over here the damage. So we can check over here that Subtlety on this one was actually very near from all the damage that all the specs are doing right now, which is actually very good. He was using, this is a very known player, which is Kush. I believe you guys know who it is. And this was the talents that he was using for this particular dungeon. The talents that I was using on the clips that are on this video are actually from this dungeon over here. Not this one, sorry, this one over here. This is the talent that I was using, which is from the same guy. And we're actually gonna see another one from Charend. I believe I'm saying the names correctly, I hope. But these were the talents that he was using on this one. We can check the damage over here for this one. And as we can see, the mages were nerfed, and I believe this warrior wasn't doing the proper damage because the warriors were doing much more damage than this. So let's just check how many pulls they did this dungeon. And if you check the number of pulls that they did for this dungeon, they did this dungeon in 15 pulls. This is a very important thing that you guys should be tracking. It's how many pulls they did the dungeons. And if you go here, for example, on this one, that was the best DPS on this dungeon. We check how many pulls they did the dungeon on 11 pulls, which is very good. So 11 pulls on a dungeon, the dungeon was very quick. On this one, for example, they did the dungeon in 7 pulls, sorry. So 7 pulls on a dungeon, it's insane. That's why the damage, of course, it's a little bit higher than maybe yours on this dungeon, even on the same kill level. So you guys need to be aware of that. So, but yeah, that's basically it. Subtlety, it's not bad, but for example, if we compare for the Hunter over here, the damage already drop off a little bit. So if you check how many pulls they did in 12 pulls, in 14 pulls. So yeah, not super low pull count. So yeah, if they did one for example 10 pulls, it will be or 11 pulls, maybe I'm pretty sure the overall would be a little bit higher than this. So these are some things that we need to be aware of here, but that's basically it for subtlety. We could be doing a little bit more damage, but it's better than it was on the last weeks. So we can try to check here Outlaw, and this was the fight that was on the beginning of the video as well. And Outlaw is performing better than the last week as well, because of the buffs, of course. But I believe Assassination is the one that is performing the better overall. Damage is good. It's more sustained than it was on the last week. But I still believe we are still too dependent on the rolls, and I believe this won't change. They want us to be a lot dependent on the jackpot, and if we don't get a jackpot, the damage can drop off a lot. And a lot of people don't like that. At least personally, I don't like my damage to be dependent on the rolls. I like my damage to be dependent on if I do the right rotation or not, and not if I have good RNG or not. So this is one of the things that might do a lot of people not play Outlaw. But damage-wise, we are very, very good on Outlaw at the moment. If we compare with Subtlety, the logs over here are much better. So as you can see, just the first page, we already have almost 550k overall damage, so that's completely insane. So unfortunately, I believe we are gonna be nerfed for the next week. I'm not sure if it's gonna be the nerf it's gonna be today or not. I believe it's not gonna be today because we just had the changes like 3 or 4 days, like 2 or 3 days ago. So I don't believe the nerfs are gonna be today, but they are gonna be pretty soon, I believe. I believe unfortunately we're gonna see a little nerf here on Outlaw, and I believe on Assassination as well, but we're gonna get there on a second. But as we can see over here, we are doing insane amount of damage now. But if you compare with other S tier specs, for example, we are doing right now the perfect amount of damage. So if they want us to be S tier, we are not going to be nerfed, I believe. I believe Outlaw is going to be S tier on physical comp if we don't get nerfed. So if they want us to be S tier, they will not nerf us. But if they don't want us to be S tier, we will probably get a nerf, pretty sure. But as we can see over here, even on the Ruby Life pools, we have 424k overall damage and another 414k, which is insane amount of damage. But if we check over here, comparing with Shadow Priest and Devour the Demon Hunters, we are doing insane amount of damage. 388k. It's not bad. It's not bad overall, but 447k is just insane. We get to the other log over here. We can see that we are doing a lot more damage than the other two specs. The same over here. We are doing a lot more damage than the Shadow Priest. Shadow Priest was nerfed on the last patch, so it's normal that they are doing a lot less damage than they were. But we are not doing more damage than Windwalker. So it's very, very good for the rogues. It's looking pretty good, and that's not much that we can talk about here. We are doing this insane amount of damage. I believe, unfortunately, we are going to be nerfed just because of this. If they don't want us to be S tier, but that's how we can put it to Outlaw. It's looking really, really good, as we can see over here on the logs. So Assassination was the spec that got the most buffs, as we know. It got a total of 16 increased damage on the overall. And as we can see over here, the buff that we got just gave us insane amount of damage. We are now doing, as you guys can see over here, more than 1 million damage on the burst, but easily. The damage sustain is just insane. Even without the death mark and only with Kingsbane, we have a lot of sustain. And with this build over here, we are actually using 4 nodes on the Apex talent. So we're using what Blizzard intended us to use, which is the 4 Apex talents. But as you guys can see over here, the damage was just completely insane. After the burst, it still continued to ramping up. So I believe, unfortunately, Assassination is going to be the one that's going to be the most nerfed. if they don't want us to be S tier, as I said on Outlaw. But Assassination is looking really good, and it's feeling amazing to play. If we see over here the logs, we can see over here that it's very near to what we saw on Outlaw. We already have 443k overall damage on the Altar of Fangs, which is insane. But if we check over here the other logs on and the other damage on the other dungeons, King's Rest just completely awful. I don't even know why this dungeon is in the rotation, but this is a topic for another video. We haven't saw overall higher than 300k on any of the rogue specs, at least on Murder Row until now. And having 2 on Assassination feels really good to see. So I don't know if Assassination will be the best spec on Season 2, but it's still very hard to say which is gonna be the best spec or not, because we still have 2 weeks until everything goes live, and we probably gonna have changes until the first 2 weeks after the raid starts. So it's gonna be hard to say which one is gonna be the best spec until everything settles. But until right now, I believe Assassination for me it's the one that feels the better to play. Outlaw still feels a little bit clunky because of the RNG, but Assassination feels really good, and we are doing an insane amount of damage right now. So I believe it's looking really good for us, for the rogues, and they are starting to hear the community. So Blizzard, if you're seeing this video, please don't nerf us. Or if you guys are going to try to nerf us, please do, but not that much, please. It's feeling really good to play rogue at the moment. So I'm hoping we see this until the end of the season. So this was just to update you guys on how the rogues are looking at the moment. It was just a quick video just to show you. And if any update on any of the rogue specs happen, any nerfs or buffs, I'm gonna update you guys always as I do. So thank you all for watching, guys. My name is Musget, and I see you all on the next video.